Hello and welcome. Let's talk about Phantom, a new character for Elysion and another Elysion character with mediocre reviews. But you should listen and not underestimate her, because she's a specialist and in her domain a very potent DPS. Let me explain why she is good and who would profit from pulling or playing her the most. First, let me explain that skillset. As usual, the wording is quite confusing and unintuitive, but after this video you will understand everything and your IQ will be infinite. At first, skill number 1. If you fire one shot, 4 things happen. First, your bullet hits a target, doing a basic 15.78% final attack damage. Second, the enemy gets a defense down debuff, indicated by a calling card. That can, this one, shown on the rapture, for up to 32.19% defense down. These buffs in general are not the best, but they buff the whole team, and out of all the defense down buffer, Phantom is one of the best. Third, you get a hitrate buff, indicated by a blue dagger next to Phantom, for up to 25.75% hitrate per stack. Practically, it can only stack 2 times, and ideally, it gets cleansed a lot. It's a mediocre self buff, but a buff nonetheless. Fourth, you get an attack damage increase for your next round, which should be permanently up as long as you hit raptures, for up to 75.17% attack damage. Great self buff, but only works for your basic attacks. Small explainer here, attack damage buffs are unique from attack buffs, and therefore don't get diluted by those. This effect is great, and your basic attacks really hurt because of it. Now let's come to skill 2. Land 10 attacks and gain up to 85.12% attack buff, and gain 31.9% distributed damage. Those buffs should be permanently up after the first 10 shots. Mechanic number 2 and 3 both trigger at the same time for the same reason. If your blue dagger count goes from 1 to 3, the buff immediately gets cleansed and your skill 2 triggers 2 effects. The easy part is a buff indicated by a blue mask next to your Nike, which stacks up to 3 times and increases distributed damage by 12.86% per stack. It stays up until her burst, which cleanses her stacks. The mask buff looks like this. The more difficult part, but also the most important part that makes her into a mob killing machine, is that when the blue dagger stacks get cleansed, all the units that are under the defense down debuff / the calling card status from skill number 1 take up to 84.33% final attack damage. That is a lot. In theory, this can hit 3 targets at a time every 3 shots, which gives Phantom crazy damage potential. Sadly, this doesn't have a name in the skills, so I will refer to it from now on as exploding card proc. Last and kinda underwhelming is her burst. It looks cute, but it only does 1457% of final attack damage as distributed damage. If you are able to stack all the distributed damage buffs from skill 2, this can go up to 2485%, but even with the buff, it's a mediocre burst, which also means you can play Phantom off burst if you want. If you look at Phantom's kit, there's 2 things that make her a good DPS character. The passive part, which is easy to sustain permanently on raptures, with the attack buff from skill 2 and the attack damage buff from skill 1. They are different from each other and stack multiplicative, which makes the basic attacks hit hard. And on the other hand, the active part with the exploding card proc, even though it needs manual play to work, it is rather simple. Just quickly sway between tight groups of enemy raptures and there will be a satisfying audio effect and also a blue circle around the dagger buff to indicate the exploding card proc. If the mobs are not dense enough, just focus on one target normally. So I'm gonna show some short clip here. Showing the active part, just sway a little bit, should be easy. Another interesting thing is that this exploding card proc can crit, but it can't do core damage, and since it is sometimes hard to hit cores while swaying, Phantom might be one of the few characters that scales decently with crit rate and crit damage buffers. This is a good thing because you can use pretty much every overload line that isn't charge damage, charge speed or defense. Okay, a lot of talking, and as you can see, my Phantom with 24k CP, 23 actually, outperformed my 32k CP Alice in the short clip. I personally am a newish player, and Phantom helped me a lot to push campaign levels. She took the place of Drunk Scarlet in my team, and I never looked back. Overall, I think Phantom is a great character for newer players. She is great at campaign and elysion tower, and doesn't need external buffs or other meta characters to work. She's a specialist in clearing swarms of raptures, but she's still a decent raid fill in case of need. I like her, and after watching this video, I hope you like her too. Bye bye.